now we will pass the floor to Petr Vyhnánek. Petr is from REVENIUM NGO, and he's member of the board. And this actually NGO deals with employment of people with disabilities. So, Petr, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much for your introduction of REVENIUM. We are NGO 5 years old, and we are trying to change something in employing of persons with disability. We are employer. We have about 90% of employees with a disability. It's about 40 people with different diagnoses, and we're also working on the field of social entrepreneurship. We have coffee roastery near the Prague, and we prepare or make working position for people with disability from Mělník and Kokořín and this area in our social business and specialty coffee roastery. So it's very briefly about us, and we also working together with companies from open labor market or regular labor market, like IKEA from your Nordic Chamber, for example, with ExxonMobil, etc. And we're working together on the field of education, because it's very often about education, what's disability, what's employee with disability, how to prepare condition for employing, and it's never-ending story in each company. It's a very long run for us. So it's the second part of our activities. So I will start with very briefly definition. Who is a person with disability, or PWD is the abbreviation in Czech language. Osoba se zdravotním postižením, or OZP is the Czech abbreviation. It's a professional legal definition prescribed a person who has a limited ability to work due to illness, injury, or congenital disorders. And it's a person who is able to work, but has somehow limited in the labor market. So it's different to find or make a special condition for these people, and not each person with disability is able to work, but a lot of them are able. I will talk about this later. We are starting with discussion with companies with Czech Constitution and the Charter of Fundamental Rights and Freedoms, because there is in Chapter 4 in Article 29 there is it's a basic of discussion about employing of a person with disabilities. So there are women, adolescent, and handicapped person are entitled to increased protection of their health at work and to special working condition. It's a basic of discussion with each company, and it's about preparing the special work conditions. It's a basic, and this is the start to think how to make the special work conditions and make the positions more suitable for people or persons with disabilities. I will talk about this later. So the legal framework, it's only for information. There is a constitution, there is an act on employment, labor code, and etc. It's not necessary to read and describe. It's a lot of legals which make the framework of employing of person with disabilities here in the Czech Republic. And what is a person with disability? Are there any difference between categories. We have three categories of disability: third, second, and the first, of people who are recognized as a disabled. It's in Czech OZP, or people with invalidní důchod in Czech language, or there are also physically challenged persons. It's different because these persons doesn't receive any invalidity pension, but have some kind of health impairment. It's OZZ, the abbreviation osoba zdravotně znevýhodněná. It's the lowest category of disability. For employers, it's not very important to know what's the grade of the disability. But it's very important to find what the disabled person can do, what her abilities, experiences, education, and also health limitations. And it's much more important to know this information, have this information from the employee with disability. It's not important to know diagnosis. It's not important to know it's in third degree. I know we have colleagues with third degree disability, and they work for a full-time job and have no problem to make it. They work 2 hours in the morning, then they make a rest 4 hours during the day, and the last part of the day in the evening, and there's no problem, and it's a third degree, and and also there are physically challenged people who has much more problems with their health, and are not able to work for a full-time job. So it's very, very individual, and it's very important to discuss and find abilities, not speaking about disabilities, but speaking with colleagues, people, new employees, about abilities, experience, about her education, and also limitations, and what are their special needs. We have bus drivers without legs in Pardubice, and it's no problem. He has automat and run with people. There is no limitation. So it's very important to talk not about this, but about abilities, not about diagnosis. Few numbers we have in each country. It's not only Czech Republic. Each country has about 10%, between 10-13% of persons with disabilities. In Czech Republic, it's over 1 million people with disabilities who live here in the Czech Republic. About 700,000 are in a working age, and not all from these 700,000 are able to work. It's about 500,000, 500,000 are able to work. So it's in each company are people or employees with disability. Maybe the companies don't know about these people because they are worried to ask, to say, I have some problem, I have this limitation, I have this disorder. There are roughly half a million people who are afraid to publicly admit that they have a handicap or they are a person with disability. What kind of diagnosis can persons with disability have? It should be mental disorders, people with lower IQ, physical disorders, people with birth defects you heard about in presentation before, paraplegia, polio, people with amputation, people with hearing disorders. It's not only deaf people, it's also people who have hard of hearing, people with visual disabilities, with low vision, with remnants of sight, and also blind people, people with internal diagnosis, celiac, Crohn's, heart diseases, people after transplantation. It should be diagnosis, very, very large immunological diseases, psoriasis, multiple sclerosis, diabetes, asthma. It should be people after oncological therapy. It should be people with neurological diseases, epilepsy, Parkinson's disease, and also very big category are persons with psychological or psychic diseases, depression, schizophrenia, neurotic disorders, bipolar disorders, etc., etc. A lot of people have problem with this diagnosis after COVID years. The psychic situation, it was very, very bad for this mental health of people, and also it should be combination of diagnosis. It's not only about one, but it's not necessary to know what I said. It's not necessary to know diagnose, but it's very necessary to know what special conditions employee need, because it's different. So it's about diagnosis. And what's about a few words about labor market? We have in Nordic Chamber there are mostly companies from free labor market. It's not regular companies, common employers who has a duty to employ mandatory proportion of disabled. It's here in Czech Republic since 2002, and it's 4%. It's from the law, and it's the same for any entity on the free labor market. Commercial company, state institution, or state owned institution like schools, etc., etc., and also for a non-profit organization, if they have more than 25 employees. So the duty is the same for each employee who has more than 25 employees and is obligated to employ one disabled person for each 25 health. So it's a law. It's a law for the free labor market, and there are three ways, three possibilities how implementing this this mandatory duty. The first, employing to prepare position for disabled people, 4%. If it's not possible, not each employer is able to prepare 4% of positions for people with or persons with disability. The second is payment to the state budget, something like tax, or maybe tax we can say. So payment to the state budget, and it's or contributions to the state budgets, and it's a 2.5 times the average wage from the last year. For the last year, it's about 92,000 Czech crowns for each missing person or employee person with a disability in company. So 90,000. Or it's possible to purchase of goods or services from employers who employ more than 50% of disabled employees. So this is companies, NGOs from the sheltered labor market, something like REVENIUM. We are also on the sheltered labor market, because we have more than 50% of persons with disability, and the amount of these goods or services is for the last year about 260,000 Czech crowns for each missing PWD. So it's three possibilities: to employ, to pay to the state budget, or support with goods or purchase of goods or service employers on a sheltered labor market. For the payment to the state budget, it's important to say that it's not amount or this tax. It's not make any fund for supporting of persons with disabilities. It's same like the other taxes, and the state works with this, build new roads and pay everything. It's not special fund from which are, for example, NGOs who support PWD, and no, it's a regular tax, and it's one part of state budget, and it's up to state how to use and or how to work with this money. There are a lot of myth or false beliefs about employing of PWD. It's impossible to fire a disabled colleague. No, it's the same. We have health colleagues, disabled colleagues. The law is the same for all. There are no differences. It's absolutely the same. People with disabilities are more likely to fall ill. It should be, but it's important to make work conditions or prepare the condition office how to minimize this situation. It's not possible to say everyone you will work for 8 hours per day, 42 hours per week. Then maybe people with disabilities will more ill. There should be more illness than the rest of employees. Employee with disability is less resistant to stress and more likely to struggle with their workload. It's important to find suitable position for disabled people, to find position which doesn't produce stress situation, for example, for people with some psychological problems. So it's the same to find suitable position for disabled because of ability, because of the health or the disadvantage. It's necessary to make or think about shared jobs for persons with disability, or prepare new position. It's very hard to find. I have free position, and I want to find on the other side employee with disability. It's very hard to put together these two categories. So it's important to think also about preparing or making new jobs, new positions, new defined jobs in companies, and then put this together with my colleague or alumni from the school with disabilities. So it's very important to be open to thinking about differences in my company, in description of position. It's very important to find ways, not to have I have position 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I want to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 persons with disability. It's very hard to find. It's not possible to find, and it's different. It's different than with health employees. So it's the thing, and it's also very important to think about special support for people. It's very important to make atmosphere or open atmosphere that the persons with disabilities are not worried to speak about their life, their problems, their health with colleagues. It's very important to educate the teams that there will be colleague and there have this problem, need 2 hours 3 times during the day, and it's nothing bad for the others, for the rest of the team. So it's very important to find and educate the teams also. Why to employ PWD? Because it's legal obligation. It's necessary. There are also these economic aspects of employing PWD. What I said, there should be benefits of employing for market positions as a company which is responsible. It's also benefit, and there is an effect of diversity. It's a conference or workshop about diversity, and the effect of diversity of the team is very important. It's very important that in the team meets together different people, different life, different problems, different health conditions, and talk about it, talk together. And I will tell it about in the last sentence about these things. And how to find disabled employees. What I said, every job position is suited for disabled. If a disabled have got sufficient education, experience, practice, and it's important to make it's important individual approach. It's important discuss about needs. Someone should have problem with dress code because of psoriasis. Someone need to have space near toilet for a person on a wheelchair, for a person with a Crohn. Someone need to have a private working space, not work in a large open space office. Somebody needs to have a specific daily routine. Somebody need different chair, not sit on a wheelchair. Some has a special dietary needs. So in company canteen, it's very nice to prepare special meals for celiacs, for example. Somebody from some persons with disabilities don't have a driving license, so it's important to make a position without needs of driving. Some people with visual disabilities need specific lightnings, so it's very necessary at the beginning to discuss not about disabilities but about the needs, and to find to have a maximum individual approach and find discuss, and also last but not least to be open to part-time jobs. It's maybe the first thing to open thinking about time in jobs, not as a what's very often here in the Czech Republic, 8 hours and there is no way. So it's very bad. It's if you are not able to prepare shared position or make part-time jobs or open or it's very important to be open to home office. Here, COVID helps us to make to open this possibility. So the part-time is for me number one, and because without part-time jobs, it's very hard to find or open the company to more people with disability. So what for a conclusion, maybe the fact that I'm not disabled now doesn't mean that everything can be different tomorrow. And it's not only disabled people or person, it's also about other people. I can broke my legs today and need special conditions for work from tomorrow. So it's not only about long time or for whole life disabled people. It's also about special conditions for regular employees in the company. So very briefly, for an introduction about these topics. And I think for conclusion, it's important to be open, to find ways, and to find abilities. To find abilities, not the problems and what's it's not possible to do. It's possible to find how to do it, maybe.
Thank you, Petr. That is a very good, positive conclusion. And you mentioned that there are approximately 1 million people with disabilities in the Czech market. So then probably it's not that challenging for the employer to find them. Probably also statistically, every company already has people like that. But how does this work? Do they have to, do the companies have to prove that they are hiring somebody with a disability? How does this work?
I think it's for companies. It's very open, very important to talk about this, to educate the company about it's that the disability. It's not only it's not only about people on the wheelchairs. It's about a lot of different categories, and not every disabled person without wheelchair must be bipolar or some psychological diagnosis. It's because it's a myth. It's some small talk and who is something. I mean, how to communicate with him. So it's important to make very friendly atmosphere in the company. Educate team leaders, educate the board, educate all employees about these topics, about this, who is a person with disability, and how to communicate with him, what's his or her special needs. And it's very important to make very open atmosphere. It's not taboo. It's part of our lives. It's people who are living here together with us, and it's important to educate companies, to educate employees, and to educate team leaders. It's a basic, and then the company is open. There are no taboos, and it's possible to change thinking of the people. I think the employing of persons with disability, it's about changing of mind settings, of changing of thinking.
Thank you. And when we look at the legal obligation to employ the people or buy the products, can REVENIUM help companies, maybe from being member? And
yeah, absolutely. We know about the companies from the sheltered labor market. So if you want to find something who make catering, who offer legal services, who make IT support. There are a lot of different companies on the sheltered labor market, and we are discussing with companies how to find them, who are from our point of view okay, who works very good, who support the people with disability in their company, and we are very open to find different and recommend different companies from this shelter labor market to others. So we are making with, for example, what I said with Vodafone. We are working together with Komerční banka. We are working with ExxonMobil. We are starting with IKEA, etc., quite big companies, and it's one part of our services for cooperation with this companies from free labor market. So
I think
don't hesitate to contact us.
Regarding the Danish embassy, I think we always solve, the catering for our events. So maybe at some point we can also approach you. So thank you so much for your presentation, and also thanks to all the panelists, to Roman, Kateřina, Lenka, and also to Lea Turčarová, who organized the whole online discussion. Thank you also to all the people who were listening to us or who were watching us. It was actually a pleasure to be moderator here. I was happy to be part of today's event. And as far as I know, the Nordic Chamber plans other events in June, and they will be more about topics such as sustainability, green economy, green transition. So I'm sure you will soon receive more invitations. So thank you to everybody, and have a nice day, and hopefully see you next time.